Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Disability Roundtable. Just a few housekeeping notes. All attendees are in listen-only mode, and tomorrow you will receive an email including a copy of the recording of today's session. And also included will be a link to all the panelists' email and contact information, as well as a link to a brief survey. And please take a few minutes to do that so that we can continue to bring you good information. So I'd like to introduce Tim Harrington, Executive Director of the Ability Center. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. To the panelists, I really appreciate the opportunity for you to weigh in on the disability community as we go through this epidemic. There's no way I could get all these important people around the same table anyways, so I truly appreciate you joining us. As the Abilities Center looks towards the huge goal of making Toledo the most accessible community in the country, that can only happen with your involvement. So again, thank you very much for joining us. We have 8 panelists, so I'm going to ask that we keep this fairly brief so that everyone can be heard. This morning, I'm going to start off with Justin Moore, representing the Area Office on Aging. And panelists, I'm going to basically run off of the questions that I provided you, and then we can dig in a little bit more as the need arises. Justin, would you give a brief explanation of your core services at Aging?
Absolutely, Tim. So there's really 4 main areas that the Area Office on Aging's core services fall into. The first is nutrition services, so things like home delivered meals during non-coronavirus crisis times, meals at senior centers and senior dining sites, our Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, where people can get $50 worth of coupons that act as cash at local farmers markets, are some of the services provided under that nutrition category. The second area is home care, and the help with bathing, dressing, meal preparation, services like that that are especially critical for those with disabilities who really need assistance with those types of activities of daily living. Then the third area is Alzheimer's adult daycare and other services. So for those with dementia, especially, and other services who have a family caregiver that needs some additional support in caring for their aging loved one, an adult day center is obviously a place where those individuals can go to receive care and have the family caregiver know that they have peace of mind that their loved one's being taken care of while they're at work or taking care of their own needs. And then the fourth area is senior services, kind of a catch-all category that includes things like medical transportation, minor home repair, and other senior center type services.
Justin, how have the services changed with the stay-at-home order, and how has this been impacted by consumers?
So there's a variety of different ways that the services have been impacted. The main way that they've been impacted is the how. The how we go about providing some of these services has certainly changed. So for example, those meals that were previously provided in a congregate setting at a senior center or senior dining site, those are really morphed into or evolved into grab and go meals. So just to give you a picture of how that would impact an individual consumer, Carol Hanley is one consumer who is 64. Prior to this, she was going to East Toledo Senior Center. And when this crisis hit, and that was all of a sudden taken away from her, she felt really isolated, felt kind of the lack of reason for getting up in the morning and that kind of thing. So since the meal started, she would take her grandson, who lives with her, to the school to pick up his grab and go meals. And then she'd go to the East Toledo Senior Center, pick up her grab-to-go meals and then go and just share quality time with her grandson over the meal. But it also gave her purpose because she was able to pick up a grab-and-go meal for her friend who was homebound and not able to go out and get a meal, and then bring that meal to her loved one. So that's kind of the new normal routine for one consumer as it pertains to some of these changes. With things like home care, unfortunately, it's something that's really exacerbated the home care shortage issue. You know, a lot of individuals who were providing that essential care don't feel safe doing so any longer in fear of getting the coronavirus, giving the coronavirus to somebody they're caring for or getting it themselves. So that's an issue I'll focus on a little bit more detail later. But another thing is we've had a lot of in-person visiting programs for that socialization, a program called Retired Senior Volunteer Patrol Program with the police department, where at least once a week individuals were getting visits from senior volunteers in their home for about 15 minutes a week to make sure that they're safe. And if there's social service needs that are safety related, those got bumped back to the Area Office on Aging for follow-up. If they're public safety in nature, they got bumped back to the police department for follow-up. Now those have evolved to telephonic kind of well check calls. So those are still happening, but in more of a telephonic or FaceTime kind of manner.
Justin, under this new normal, are there changes that may become standard practices within aging?
We're definitely reaching out to individuals and agencies that have expertise in the telehealth area to see what we should do to enhance some of those well check kind of virtual calls that we've been doing during this time frame, and really leverage technology to not only be more efficient with our time, but also to improve and enhance the services we provide. So, for example, instead of one of our social workers or nurses that's a care manager for an individual who needs home care services, and that visit being maybe once a month or once every 2 months, that they would have a visit from that individual, finding a way to maybe have more frequent visits, but have some of those be via FaceTime or Zoom or whatever the case might be, and find other ways to get technology in the homes of those that don't have it, whether it be tablets or Chromebooks or whatever the case might be, so that we can also have a better sense on the pulse of the individual's health conditions on a daily basis. So, you know, remote monitoring of things like blood pressure, diabetes numbers, those kinds of things.
Yeah, is there other information about your plans moving forward that you would like to share?
So one of the things that we really want to get the word out about, especially as more PPE becomes available, is the need for additional people to step up into this home health aide role. It's a critical need in our community that, again, got a really hard hit during this coronavirus crisis. Unfortunately, the needs for the older adults who depend on the care for help with bathing and dressing, does not disappear during this crisis time frame. That need is still there. So to the extent that individuals might not have the work that they normally did pre-coronavirus crisis and would be willing to step up into meeting this critical need in our community, there's about 6 different home health agencies that are still having these home health aide trainings, certification trainings on a virtual basis. So we encourage individuals who might be willing to step up into that role to contact us, so that we can help facilitate getting them plugged into those career opportunities that are in demand in our community. And these are individuals who I believe are really the unsung heroes of this coronavirus crisis. There's rightfully so been given lots of attention to the nurses and doctors who are providing that primary care as being the heroes that are on the front line. These home health workers are really standing right behind those doctors and nurses and providing very critical care and getting very little attention for it. So we just want to shine a light on them and the amazing contributions that they're making during this crisis and as we move into the recovery phase from this crisis.
Has there been any discussion, Justin, about streamlining the certification process for home health aides?
Absolutely. So we're continuing to advocate and kind of doubling down our advocacy efforts with the state in that regard. Things like virtual training for the certification has been a critical hurdle that we've been able to get some flexibility from the state on during this time, and we're hoping to extend that. And there's numerous other areas. So the whole adult daycare area, for example, there's been a need to try to find an alternative way to provide that service to individuals who in the past would go to the adult day center to receive socialization, kind of mind stimulating activities during the day, as well as kind of personal care type of activities. We're getting some flexibility from the state on that as well, and seeing some optimistic signs for the state, giving some more flexibility on that as well. So we're going to continue to double down on our advocacy efforts to get more flexibility, streamline these processes so that those processes of getting people certified are not becoming an unnecessary barrier to people entering this career field.
What does your organization need from the community at large? Where are the gaps at?
So I talked a little bit about the paid care opportunities with becoming a home health care aide. Another area where there's a great need is just in the volunteer space. There's a lot of different volunteer opportunities. So for example, home delivered meals. Prior to this, there was a lot of volunteers who, as Maureen will talk probably more about, who were volunteering to provide those home delivered meals to older adults on a daily basis, provide a little socialization, a safety check as well during that time period. Some of those individuals who are volunteering were older adults themselves. Older adults are twice as likely to be severely impacted by the coronavirus. So some of them, because of their own safety concerns, have pulled back from that role during this crisis. So that's left some slots that have opened up where there's a need for more volunteers just to fill the needs of providing those meals to individuals who were receiving home delivered meals before this crisis. In addition to that, though, there's been a significant increase in the number of home delivered meals requested by individuals. So there's a need for new volunteers to step up and help with delivering those meals to those new home delivered meal consumers as well. Also, these well check calls, our agency made an intentional effort to try to do well check calls because a lot of older adults, about 1 out of every 4 in our area, self-report as being lonely pre-crisis. And that's been shown to have a negative impact equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day for individuals who self-report as being lonely. Again, this stay-at-home order has really continued to make individuals feel even more isolated for many cases. So we've been doing well check calls using largely volunteers to over 4,000 individuals during this crisis in Lucas County, and there's a need for thousands of additional individuals like them that we have identified that we want to do well check calls to as well, but need volunteers to help with making those calls.
Is there a direct phone number that people could call if they're interested in volunteering?
Yeah, absolutely. So just call our agency at 419-382-0624. Again, that number 419-382-0624. Or you can find these volunteer opportunities and express your interest in volunteering on our website at areaofficeonaging.com. Again, that website is areaofficeonaging.com. And there's a volunteer link right up top toward the middle.
Justin, the governor has announced some pretty significant cuts to Medicaid this past week. Any indication of how that might impact your service delivery?
So we have more clarity on the non-Medicaid side of the budget cuts from the Ohio Department of Aging and what those are going to look like. That's about $1.4 million worth of general revenue fund cuts that are coming to the Ohio Department of Aging that will then trickle down to us at the regional level for Northwest Ohio and our sister area agencies on aging across the state. The Medicaid area is something that the Ohio Department of Aging has not received the details as of yesterday afternoon from the Department of Medicaid about those $210 million being cut from Ohio Department of Medicaid for Medicaid programs. They're expecting to get those details still yet this week. So as soon as we have those details, we will be sharing those with stakeholders and giving some thought to how to minimize the negative impact on consumers or older adults and younger persons with disabilities with those cuts, and to try to find better ways to have those cuts be implemented in a way that's not unnecessarily negatively impacting the older adults we serve and younger persons with disabilities.
Austin, thank you very much for being part of this.
Thanks for the opportunity, Tim.
I'm going to switch over to Brittany Joseph with the Autism Provider Network. Welcome, Brittany.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Can you give a brief summary of your core services?
Sure. So I am the chair of the Autism Provider Network of Northwest Ohio. And our organization is a nonprofit organization that works very closely with Avenues for Autism. And our group primarily provides support to those who are working with individuals who are serving individuals with autism on a day-to-day basis. So we are kind of like a professional network of professionals out there on the front lines, working really hard every day to support families and individuals out in our community. So one of our big missions is that we know in Northwest Ohio, it is hard to attract and retain professionals in our professions. And so we want to make sure that there is a strong network of individuals out there providing that support to our professionals so that they're not leaving Northwest Ohio and taking jobs elsewhere, that they're staying here to support our loved ones and the most vulnerable populations of those with disabilities in our community.
So how have your services changed with the stay-at-home order, and how's that impacting your consumer base?
Sure. So we have a variety of different providers that make up our group. So there are approximately 35 different providers that come to our bi-monthly meetings. And so everyone is doing things very differently. Some of our providers are still open during the pandemic, and some of our providers are not able to stay open as a result of the pandemic. We, as the Autism Provider Network of Northwest Ohio, we're still holding our meetings on WebEx on a monthly basis to maintain that contact and that support with our providers, to let them know, hey, we're out here, we are supporting you, we're encouraging you. Last month was Autism Awareness Month, and we were right there holding our meeting, hyping up, how much we care about those in our community living with autism, raising those with autism, and working with those with autism every single day.
Under the new normal, are there changes that may become standard with these organizations?
I think so. I think that because of the pandemic, we've learned to work a little smarter, and we certainly have been working harder to adjust the way that we do business. And so I think what we've heard from a lot of our providers is that as a result of becoming more innovative, they've had to streamline a lot of their processes and change the way that they do things. We've heard from some providers that they're really feeling a lot of strain in their business. And from others, they've had to really rethink the way that they're doing things. For our organization, we know that we serve a lot of busy professionals, working professionals. Holding our meetings on WebEx provides an opportunity for everyone to join us. So we were meeting face-to-face at Fallen Timbers every other month. Now we're able to invite providers like all of you, maybe that are on this call, to join us on WebEx once a month to meet and find a place to kind of have support, guidance, encouragement, and not have to feel like you have to rush there after work to be at another meeting. You can log in from your phone or from your computer and join us.
Let's talk about families.
Sure.
I mean, this stay-at-home order has obviously turned their world upside down. So could you talk a little bit about what families are saying and what alternatives they're looking at in this crazy time?
Absolutely. So from a personal standpoint, I certainly can sympathize with them. I am a mom to a son with autism. He's 13 years old, and it's hard. It's hard out there. I hear from a lot of parents who come to me and say, what are you doing? How are you coping through this? We provide as parents and as professionals a lot of one-to-one support. Kate Schwartz over at the Autism Society of Northwest Ohio is an incredible resource. And if you go to the Autism Society of Northwest Ohio website, she can link parents up with resources, support groups, and other resources in the community. We also have another autism related support in the community, Avenues for Autism. They have an amazing executive director that just started a few months ago. She also has resources for grants for families and can link families to one-to-one support as well. So really in the Toledo area and in Northwest Ohio, I feel like we have a great deal of resources available for families, not just in Toledo, but outside of Toledo as well throughout the area. So reaching out to those two big organizations can really link families with that support that they really need, because it is difficult right now. Families are taking on that role of parenting and homeschooling and not being linked with a lot of those services that they once had before.
With regard to education, are there any people that are out there discussing how schools are supporting kids with autism with the stay-at-home order?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
With regard to education, are kids with autism getting the level of support they need for homeschooling?
I certainly think some are, and I think some are not being served appropriately. We have a provider in our network, Jennifer Kirby, from Bright Horizons Consulting. She's an advocate, and she's been helping our families kind of work through what their IEP looks like, that individualized education plan, kind of making sure that our families are getting the support that they need through this pandemic, through the online learning. I do feel like some families are, and their children are receiving the support that they need. And I'm hearing from other families that they're not receiving the support that they need. And I am encouraging them to work with their school districts first, and advocate as strongly as they can for their children. And when they're not able to do that anymore, reach out to an advocate to get that support.
Okay. And is there any needs within the autism community that the general public could help with?
Most certainly. So if you know of a family that has a child with autism, reaching out to them and asking if there's anything that they need help with at this time. I know that any family that's raising a child with a disability, it's difficult, it's hard, it's challenging, it's oh so rewarding, but at the same time, just being a good neighbor, being a good community member, supporting those local nonprofit organizations, encouraging your friends and family to do the same. This is the time when we need good local community support, just like hosting these webinars like this and gathering people together and you know, snowballing local movements just like this. So I appreciate you putting this together and bringing us all together.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Shannon Seeger from Deaf Services Center. Thank you for being part of the program. Shannon, could you give a brief description of your core services?
We provide independent living skills and training. Also, we provide employment services. And we also do pre-employment training transition type of programs. So it's nice it's a wonderful youth program. We are actually for any and all who need it.
Okay, Shannon, we're having technical difficulties on the interpreter and she is muted right now. And the voice isn't coming through. So let's work on some technical issues and we're gonna come back to you, okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now, okay, let's check your voice again, Jenna.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, Shannon, I'm gonna ask that we start over. So we make sure that we get the information you wanted to say across to everybody, okay?
Yes. If someone can stop, somebody's muting me and I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm mute. I don't want them to unmute me because if you mute me, I can't see the interpreter then. So with this gallery view, I'm sorry. Sorry, this is just a good example of a frustration that the deaf community can experience. So technology difficulties, you know, it's challenging to see the captions. Now I can't see the captions, but okay, neither here nor there. But these are all good examples of frustrations we experience. So I have some really serious concerns, like many of you have mentioned. Our office has senior citizens who tend to gather twice a month. And they get together just for social activities, resources, to share information. Whoops, just a second. Okay, so we do not have that social interaction now. So that means I've been getting a lot of video phone calls and individuals are describing lack of resources and what they're experiencing, what their needs. I'm trying to accommodate those. But there's been lots of misunderstandings. They're not sure what exactly is occurring. You know, they're not clear on guidance. You know, the governor has been awesome providing a sign language interpreter. They have been giving, they've had the interpreter every day, but individuals who have maybe minimal language skills need more of an expansion than an interpreter can provide. So I am providing those resources as well as support to those community members. And also masks, not having the PPE. We're looking for donations for those things. You know, giving out PPE to those who don't have any money, don't have the resources to get them, maybe don't have transportation to be able to get to the store. Maybe they don't even know how to get the PPE that is needed. So I've been working on that. And we also have lots of students who are deaf or deaf plus other disabilities, and they're not receiving their normal supports. We are trying to provide supports for those students, but it is a struggle because parents don't have internet service at home, or maybe they don't know how to use technology. They can't use a laptop or a device. So we have those issues that we're struggling with currently. Also, another issue is masks. Lots of deaf people can't see facial expressions and know the intonation of the speaker with a mask. So I wish I actually had it with me. Let me see if I do. No, but there's clear masks. But those are really important, and it's funny, it's not, those clear masks would not be just for deaf individuals, but those who are hearing and you work with them, they need to see what is being said. They need to see expression, and that's all done on your face, but they're more expensive and they're harder to find. We do have some surgical masks. We were lucky enough to receive a few. The surgical masks with a clear mouthpiece, just for our medical interpreters when they are going to a doctor's appointment, just because there is higher risk associated there. Yeah. So that's just a general struggle that we're currently having.
Shannon, under this new normal, are there changes that may become standard for your organization?
Yes, so one thing that we implemented when the pandemic started, I actually informed all of our consumers that, I think that the technology would continue to improve. Now more of you are actually noticing that we do need to have technology that is user-friendly with video platforms and video interfaces. So the technology will continue to improve for the deaf community as well as everyone at hand. What would be considered the new norm? I know right now we're having lots more video conferencing, less in-person interactions. But again, the concern there is for interpreting and interpreting services. Many deaf people prefer to have an on-site, in-person interpreter instead of through the video platform, so they can see everything that is happening simultaneously. So that might be a struggle. When you think of a medical visit, the interpreter can't see the 360 view of the consumer through the video platform. So, they might not be able to explain that clearly or explain what is needed clearly, or not being able to see the doctor's expressions. So that will definitely change our new norm. And I'm also concerned about education. What are the plans for the fall? Will they have support services, interpreting services, deaf individuals who have other disabilities as well? That is really, really vital for us to watch and see what happens. Also, deaf senior citizens are exceedingly lonely. Some do not have access to internet, so they're only able to text and utilize video phones, and that's it. So, they are calling, they're asking for resources, and we will continue to provide as best we can.
Shannon, what does your organization need from the community right now? What are your needs?
So right now, the deaf community has asked in general, asked the general hearing community to be more patient with deaf individuals, deaf and hard of hearing individuals, because again, with masks, we can't see what a person is saying. You might think that the deaf person is ignoring you. That's not true. Maybe in some cases it is, but for the most part, it's not true. They can't understand what an individual is saying. So be open to writing back and forth, texting back and forth, gesturing, using some other form of communication. Maybe be willing to learn some basic sign language. So those type of things that we would ask the community to be sensitive to, and just more open to, again, gesturing and using other forms of communication.
Shannon, how can people reach you?
Sure. So our website is deafservicescenter, dsc.org. So dsc.org, and you can see a list of all of the services we provide, which is in Northwest Ohio, as well as Columbus and Southeast Ohio. So you can see that list. Our contact information, everything is there on the website. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Shannon, thank you very much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Always enjoy working with you.
Our next panelist is Ash Lemons from the Ability Center. I asked Ash to join us because it was just too weird for me to talk about services and then ask myself questions. So I think this might be a little bit more streamlined. Ash, could you give a brief summary of the Ability Center services?
Yes, thanks, Tim. We have about 5, can you hear me?
You're loud.
I'm too loud?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'll move back a little. We have about 5 different services here. We have information referral, which helps connect people to independent services to keep them thriving in the community. We also have individual and systems advocacy. And, we really strive to influence policy and promote independence with that program. We have a great, wonderful youth transition service program, providing skills training for youth to maximize their potential long-term and their outcomes. Our adult community living services provide a lot of home and personal safety items, including home modifications and durable medical equipment. And then we have our service and therapy animal program. And, just so people know, we're in over 20 schools. We have well over 120 people that have dogs in the community. All of it is to help maximize the potential for people to thrive in a community of their choosing.
How has the services changed with the stay-at-home order, and what has been the impact on consumers?
Well, the social distancing measures and the stay-at-home order, the measures to slow the spread, very much like Justin said, we have also seen a strong need to reach out to our consumer base. Early on, we've made over 1,000 calls. We did a lot of surveys to find out where the deficits were. We wanted to ensure that we were still finding a way to serve people. And what we've found is we can still meet those needs, whether they be lack of PPE or lack of supports, transportation, feeling of loneliness, isolation. We can meet those needs best by actually having conversations. And so we mobilized a lot of our staff to reach out and start making phone calls and finding out what the immediate needs related to COVID. Because we were really focused on, okay, Justin mentioned this a little bit earlier, we have our normal focus, but then the COVID crisis comes along and presents some new challenges. So, we're serving people through technology, and so we've relied a lot on Zoom. I think all of our staff are fluent in Zoom now. Our assistance dogs and youth program has been doing a lot of trainings with Zoom. And we implemented social distancing measures with other programming, like our durable medical equipment and our home modification. The most important thing I think that we've done here is we've shifted our focus towards COVID. And our systems advocacy staff got involved with the Hospital of Northwest Ohio's COVID-19 Advisory Committee. This committee developed resource allocation guidelines and for the response of how scarce resource allocations are administered during this crisis. And it's going to be a national model. And we were very, very happy to represent people with disabilities at that table.
Great. Under this new normal, are there changes that will become standard at the Ability Center?
Yeah, there's the use of technology has become, I know some of the other panelists mentioned this, we have really found that flexibility in meeting the needs of consumers and using technology to meet those needs can be equally effective, if not more efficient, than ways and methods that we used before. And so I'm hearing some of the things today that we can improve on, and definitely want to make those advances in the way that we communicate to our consumers and our partners.
Are there any other information about the plan moving forward that you want to share?
Connecting to people at a deeper level, definitely continuously improving our partnerships and learning the needs of our consumers at a much deeper level, and strengthening those partnerships that we have in the community.
What does the Ability Center need from the community going forward?
Well, we have a big need for durable medical equipment. That program, as many of you know, serves a lot of hospitals, serves a lot of people that are high risk coming out of rehabs. We need folks to, once phase 2 opens, we need durable medical equipment. It's something that we haven't been able to get because of the crisis, the stay at home. We wanted to protect people from the spread of the virus, so we stopped receiving durable medical equipment for a while. But as soon as phase 2 opens, we're prepared to decontaminate and to accept stuff moving forward. The only other thing I would say is thanks to all of our partners in helping us through all of this. And I think we can all strengthen our partnership moving forward in the response to things like this.
Thanks, Ash. I'm going to move over to Maureen Stevens next. Thank you, Maureen, for being part of this discussion. Can you give a brief summary of your core services?
Sure, Tim. Our core service is providing home delivered meals to anyone who needs assistance with preparing a meal or maintaining a special diet. And our goal, of course, is to keep people independent and help them stay in their own homes. So we also provide congregate meals to one of the senior centers when they're open. And we've recently started delivering commodity boxes from Seagate Food Bank to seniors who are unable to get out to pick them up. And then in addition, we have a kids program where we deliver shelf-stable, kid-friendly food to 8 different schools, about 1,400 children a week during the school year. So they have something to eat on the weekend. And now with the schools closed, we've been partnering with Connecting Kids to Meals, and they're distributing through their meal sites for us. So that's our main job.
So for your core business, what has changed during the stay-at-home orders, and what's been the impact on consumers?
Right. Well, we have modified our delivery schedule to limit contact between our clients and our delivery people, many of whom are volunteers. So instead of seeing people every day now, we see them twice a week. Same amount of food, just less contact. That in itself is not great because we know, as Justin said, that a lot of them are suffering from loneliness, and this is just adding to that feeling of isolation. So we too try and stay in touch with some of our clients that we know really need the help, and we're very happy that the Area Office on Aging is reaching out to so many seniors as well. We've seen a tremendous surge in the amount of meals being requested, as Justin mentioned earlier. And so to meet that need, we've had to start preparing and freezing our meals rather than serving them freshly chilled. We've also had to kind of move away from client choice of meals, which we just have to do that to meet the need. And the clients have been pretty okay with that. So that's really about it.
I want to acknowledge that as part of our wellness checks with consumers, we identified 25 consumers that were in scarce food situations, and Mobile Meals has stepped up to serve those clients, and I very much appreciate you doing that.
Happy to do that.
What are your plans moving forward?
Well, we're going to continue as is for now, but we'll certainly be discussing alternate delivery plans, maybe going back to our daily, but you know, we're going to keep things as they are right now. And we'll probably need to make a lot of menu changes because we're having issues with supply chain. So we just have to be adaptive and fix good meals with what we have on hand, and we're doing that.
What does your organization need right now?
Well, you know, we've had to cancel a fundraiser, and we're probably going to have to cancel our main one this year. So donations are always appreciated. And while we don't currently need volunteers with our shortened delivery, when we do reach out for volunteers, we hope the community will step up and, you know, and volunteer. So right now we're doing all right.
How would the public best contact Mobile Meals?
They can call us at 419-255-7806, or they can go to our website and contact us, and that's mobilemeals.org.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to move over to Jeanette Bosserman from OOD.
Ted.
Thank you for joining us, Jeanette, very much. Jeanette, can you give a brief overview of your services?
Sure. Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities is the state agency that is charged with assisting individuals with disabilities in searching for, obtaining, maintaining, and advancing in their employment. So our services really revolve around employment in the community, providing vocational rehabilitation services like job development, job coaching, transition services for individuals who are moving from high school into college or high school into the world.
Jeanette, obviously under the stay-at-home order, how is this impacting your service delivery and what you're doing for consumers that are seeking work opportunities?
Well, we hope that the individuals that we're working with aren't seeing a huge impact. Our counselors are all working from home. So really the only thing that's gone away is the building and the in-person, the ability to have those in-person meetings. So all of our counselors are have a lot of technology available to them. They have iPhones that can do, you know, calls, FaceTime. We have computers that can, you know, have a face-to-face meeting. They've all become very, very good at Zoom and Google Hangout and Microsoft Teams. So I think, I hope that it's a very minimal impact. I think the bigger issue is having individuals who have wanted to put their job search on hold or not have a forward motion in regards to that job search just because of the fear of being out in community looking for work or working. But we do have quite a few individuals who are still moving forward with their services and working on employment opportunities. In the first 6 weeks of this COVID crisis of kind of moving to this new normal, we placed 319 Ohioans with disabilities into a range of jobs. So, you know, things are still moving forward.
Under this new normal, are there changes that may become standard with regard to OOD?
I hope so. I think that we incur a lot of inefficiencies sometimes in travel, extensive travel. We cover huge areas. We have a lot of counselors that cover multiple counties. So we're hoping that we can leverage some of this new technology in the future to really streamline the efficiencies for the agency. In addition, you know, we work with a lot of transition. And it's hard for parents, you know, to get off work It's hard for parents to always make a meeting. And if you're not 18, we need those parents, we need those guardians. So I'm hopeful that in the future we can leverage some of this technology to ensure that they're involved more. We attend a lot of IEP meetings. The schools have been great in involving us, the County Board of DD. So there's been a lot of collaboration, and it's just been wonderful. We hope we see that continue. We will go back to offices though, and I think in the future you're going to see a balance and just a little bit more flexibility between the ability to meet in person versus, you know, having a meeting online. A lot of individuals have difficulty accessing transportation to even get to our offices or to see us. So maybe in the future, this is a better option for them.
So OOD sponsors a lot of kids during the summer.
Yeah.
What's your plan with regard to summer transition programs?
Well, we're really excited about our summer plan, actually. It's going to be very different than anything we've ever done. And again, we're being very, very flexible. So, you know, a lot of our providers that we work with are currently in the process of determining what that's going to look like. So we've sort of, in the past, said, you know, these are the programs that we're going to do. We're going to do career exploration, or we're going to do a 5-week summer youth work experience. We don't have that ability this year. I mean, you know, we have to come up with some different alternatives. So we really have been working with our community partners and saying, you know, there are summer foundations. So how can we engage our students? How can we have that continuity between May and August? And what is that going to look like? And a lot of these kids have already gone home and they've been in virtual training for this period of time. So we've been given the community partners a lot of options and flexibility to come up with a program that works for them. If an employer is willing to do an on-site work experience and the employer is following the Ohio Department of Health guidelines and the family is willing to allow that person to participate and the vendor is willing to put staff in place for that to happen, we're going to allow that to happen. I don't see a lot of that going to happen, however. So what's the alternative? So they're looking at things like providing virtual learning in regards to self-advocacy, post-secondary training, job-seeking skills training, and then in addition to that, you know, doing some online career exploration and looking at things from more of a virtual perspective. So we've just talked to our partners about that. They have several weeks to sort of figure out what that's going to look like. A lot of our students are already with their vendors that they're going to work with for the summer. And so we're very excited to sort of hear, you know, what comes of this and what happens. We're going to ensure that students who want to participate can participate. We're going to ensure that, you know, we're assessing what technology they have available to them in the home so that they can participate fully. And we're doing things like, you know, bringing it down to a manageable level. A student who just got done with, you know, however many weeks of virtual learning doesn't want to spend 20 and 30 hours, you know, virtual learning in their summertime. So what does that look like, and what's really reasonable? So we've lowered that expectation down. In addition to that, they're going to, by participating, they're going to earn a vocational training stipend. You know, a lot of these kids were looking forward to work experiences where they were going to get paid. And so there's going to be opportunities for them to still participate in some summer engagement to keep them moving forward and also be paid for participating in that. So we're really excited about this. And again, very quickly did our provider contract management unit have to come up with something. And I think that this is a great alternative, you know, to having nothing. So
obviously with the decline in employment opportunities for everyone, engagement with employers is a huge part of what you do.
Yes.
any innovative thoughts about how you move forward and put these opportunities back in front of employers?
Well, that is actually a great point in the fact that, you know, one of the things you're asking of all the panelists is, what do you need from the community? We need referrals. We need people who want to go and work, because the other side of the coin is that we are working, our employer and innovation services are working constantly with employers who need positions to be filled. And we at OOD are being very flexible in regards to providing services to assist them, even if it's only on a temporary basis. So, you know, if they want to work in the community and they want to, you know, have a job, even if it's for just a short period of time, and they need supports to make that happen, we're here to help make that happen. So on one side of the coin, we need referrals, starting at age 14 and up. If you have a disability, you know, I encourage you to reach out to us. And then on the employer side, if you're an employer and you have positions that you need filled, please call us. You know, we want to, you know, we want to kind of be that employer partner and help you out in regards to that, because individuals with disabilities are a great work investment. And so I think that we can be here to assist on both sides.
And the best way to reach out to OOD?
So ood.ohio.gov is our state agency's website. And from that, you can get the phone numbers for any office in the state of Ohio, because we have offices, voc rehab is available in all 88 counties. So you can reach us that way. The main number is 1-800-282-4536. And that phone number will help assist you and get you connected to any of our offices. So you can call us directly in the Toledo office, or you can call the 1-800 number and they will get you connected. And if you want to refer yourself for services, you can call us, or you can go to our website at www.oodworks.com, and you can apply right there online, and that will get streamlined right to the office that would serve you.
So give us the number for the Toledo office.
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I never call myself. I don't know. I think it's 419-866-5811. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Maybe we'll clarify that by the end of this, and we can throw it in the chat.
I'll throw it in the chat.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. We
Thanks for having me.
Stacy Butts from Site Center, Northwest Ohio. Good morning.
Hi, Tim.
Good morning, Stacy. You look beautiful today.
Thanks. I did my hair. I know nobody believes that, but really, I did it.
Sorry, we're not able to get a visual on you, but I'm sure we can get through this just fine, Stacy.
I'm sure we can.
Give us a brief summary of the Site Center services.
So the Site Center helps people of all ages who have permanent vision loss. And we do that through a low vision clinic that's at our building. Anyone that has remaining usable vision, we ask to come through there so we can try to help them with some magnification devices or items like that. But we also then do in-home services. We do daily living skills, so teaching someone anything they might do from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to bed with or without any vision. Low vision training, so how to use your devices that you might pick. You might think you can just grab a magnifier and use it, but if you have limited vision because of macular degeneration, you're trying to figure out how to use your good spots, we can help someone do that. Orientation and mobility training, which is white cane training, or if someone's not interested in using a white cane, just how to safely travel with their remaining vision. Technology, everything is technology, right? I mean, we're on this great call right now. So how to use a computer with no vision or a cell phone. And we also have early intervention services so that we can help the children, you know, at a very young age to start adapting to their vision loss. So we also have a store, that would be our last thing, which is open to the public. Not currently, but it is online. You can see all of the devices that we have. And that's actually been really busy since our building is closed. So,
Stacy, how have the services changed with the stay-at-home order, and how's that impacted your folks?
you know, it's been challenging. We stopped seeing folks in person, and for people who are visually impaired, they're using their touch. Their sense of touch is pretty important. So we aren't able to go into someone's home and help them to adapt to their vision loss, but we have been doing phone training. We have been really doing a lot more online sales for our store. We've been shipping devices and calling when someone has the ability to learn in that method. But it's been tough to be able to really serve people the way that we want to. And our people are lonely and they're isolated. They can't get in a car generally and drive somewhere. They're stuck at home, and they're really stuck at home. So the challenges of what we've heard to get food delivery from, you know, if you're doing Shipt or something like that, the wait time is so long. So it's a lot more planning. And so we've actually been reaching out to all of our clients. We had a list of about 1,500 people that we started with just to make sure that they're connected and they have what they need. And our social worker follows up with anyone who's been in an emergency and ensuring that everyone has food and any paper products, as those have clearly been out of stock as well. So just trying to be a resource in a different way.
Stacy, under the new normal, are there changes that may become standard within the site center?
I think that we're hoping to open back up in the next couple of weeks and start seeing people in our low vision clinic. But sterilization is going to be different. We'll see less people. And because when you come through our clinic, you see an optometrist and then an occupational therapist. During that occupational therapy visit, it's all about touching things. So having enough time to clean everything in between. We've actually ordered a UV sterilization box so that we can try to ensure that people can be safe and we can quickly do the sterilization without ruining the magnifier face with a Clorox wipe. So I think that it's going to be different. I think we'll see people differently. As many times as we can, we'll try to do things remotely. And I think that's going to continue for a long time.
Sure, sure. What does the site center need from the community? What are your urgent needs right now?
What I would say is we have asked for donations of masks. So many people are making those masks, and we've been actually, as we've been calling, mailing those out to our consumers who need them. So if someone can't get a mask and we let them know we have them, we've been sending those out. I think I sent out 4 when I was in the office just the other day. So if anyone is interested in donating masks, we would love those. And we're definitely looking at donations as well. Our gala event was scheduled for April 30th, and clearly that did not happen. So there are a lot of nonprofits just like us, and you know, that mobile meals, that you're losing all of the money that you thought you could get, and we're not able to serve the way we could. So we're just trying to find interesting ways to bring money in the door.
So how would individuals make available masks if they wanted to donate masks to you?
If they called our office, our phones are being answered every day from 8 to 4:30. It is 419-720-3937. We can let them know a time when someone would be at the building, and they could drop them off outside the front door, and we would go ahead and get them. We got some contactless methods for getting things that people can drop off in our vestibule, and then we can grab it.
And what's the site center's website?
It is sitecentertoledo.org.
Perfect. Stacy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Last but not least, Lori, from Lucas County Board of DD. Lori, welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Hello.
Thank you so much for being with us. Crazy times in your life, I'm sure.
Yes, very busy.
Lori, could you give a brief summary of the county board's primary services?
Sure, Tim. And again, thank you for having me today. You know, as folks probably know, our mission is to improve life so that individuals with developmental disabilities reach their full potential. So I would categorize our services into 4 main areas, and each one has far-reaching tentacles. So our service and support administration area, you might want to think of that like a caseworker. So there's a point of contact for every individual that we serve, and the SSA, both in adults and children's, would assist the person with a person-centered approach of their needs, what they want to do in life, you know, whether it be employment. There's also a piece in there where there's monitoring of the services. That team, that SSA, is kind of the glue that holds that team together. And we work with families, individuals, providers. And that is something that we do from age 0 throughout someone's lifetime. Another main area that we have is a children's department, which is broken down 0 to 3, which is early intervention. And I would like to say that referrals are down a little bit. So one thing we know with the little kids, is that the earlier we intervene, the better the outcome in some cases. So I just wanted to put that plug in there. But also with children age 3 to 22, we partner with the schools. We partner with OOD, and we have a transitions program for the kids that are 14 and older. So that may look like we might go to the school, attend the IEP meeting, work with the student in OOD. Partnerships are key there. We're looking at summer camps, how we're going to do that differently with the kids. Another main area that we have is provider supports in our investigative agent group. Provider supports helps with over 500 independent and agency providers in the community. The IAs, or investigative agents, countywide, they will investigate any allegation of abuse, neglect, misappropriation on the behalf of any of the individuals we serve. Sometimes we partner with law enforcement and children's services in those cases. So again, that's far-reaching out in the community. And one of the other main areas that we have for services is community inclusion. And under this group, we would find like travel training, school safety, advocacy groups, Special Olympics, which we know right now is on hold. What we have there also is, again, more partnerships with the OD. We have employment navigators that work with our service and support specialists to help with employment. And then the other thing that we're doing with the community inclusion, we have folks that are individuals who, because of supply chain, may need food or may need different hygiene items. So we did take donations at a drive-through at the board, and we have folks that are repackaging what people need and making deliveries to their doorstep so people can have the things that they need. So those would be the 4 main areas.
So Lori, how have your services changed with the stay-at-home order, and what impact does that have on consumers?
So there's been many changes. So I try to find the positive, right? Technology's been a positive. I've had some parents say this is a lifeline because they're at home, right? They're not working. They've now become assisting the teacher with the homework, homeschooling. So instead of maybe one of our early intervention specialists driving across town to see a family, it's done via Zoom. So there's some efficiencies there, and I had one parent say it was a lifeline to be able to have that communication like we're doing today. Some of the other changes, some of the services, the adult day services did shut down. There are some open in town that are 10 or less. And we should be getting guidance from the Department of Developmental Disabilities this week. So that was a big change for a lot of our consumers. because they might have gone off to an adult day service where they worked on employment, or maybe they were working and they're not doing that right now. So that's going to be a huge change. We've been connecting with individuals though via Zoom. We've had our team put together creativity kits, and we printed them and we dropped them off. We've done this numerous times to people for activity, and we're trying to use social media as an outlet so people can see some of the things we're doing. Our advocacy group has, they put a feeler out there. Anybody would like to connect, so they're calling people weekly just to check in. Self-advocates are working with other advocates and people that we serve in the community and just checking in. That's been a huge success to have somebody to talk to. And the advocacy group is using Zoom. So if somebody does have the technology, they're able again to see the person, which is very helpful.
Under this new normal, are there changes that may become standard operating practices for the county board?
Well, I'm thinking technology, right? I think with remote services that we can offer individuals and the technology, I could see some definite increases in that in our future with the technology. Some people love the technology, some don't. So we'll adjust and be flexible throughout this whole process, but definitely on the technology piece.
Okay. What does your organization need from the community right now?
Well, right now I would say, well, I have a list here. So our providers are hiring. So with COVID, as people have become ill, so have some of the staff. And there is a need for providers. They're hiring. We have a link on our website for any provider. We update it daily who has openings. So that is one thing I would say would be one of the top things, because we need to be able to support individuals. So it's on our website. Now I'll give you our website. It's lucasdd.info. And there's a link on there. There's a COVID section, and every day it's updated, usually around noon, with anybody who's hiring, the contact information and the name. So we do need help with that. In the last week, one of the concerns that I've been working on is some advocacy with state officials in the governor's office. So if somebody does go to the hospital and they do have COVID, we have found at times they're not allowed to have a family member there or a guardian there, and this has been a big issue. There was some guidance put out last night by the Ohio Department of Health, DODD, and the Ohio Department of Medicaid. But in my opinion, it's still not enough. So I'm encouraging people to write their senator, call their senator, their House of Representatives, because we just need to protect the individuals that we serve and make sure their civil rights are intact. So that's one big thing we're working on. The other thing I'm working on with the health department is testing. Right, so there's certain protocols for testing, and it's not a one size meets all. So I'm working again with the health commissioner on that. And again, as I mentioned earlier, EI referrals are down, and what concerns me there is with the little kids, we know we need to intervene early, and it may look different, right? We know with our occupational therapists, they might not be able to see the individual in person, but we could certainly do some things via Zoom. We can get creative. So I would encourage that if anybody hears, anything, please refer them to the board.
Thank you, Lori. Give us the phone number of the county board.
It's 419-380-4000. So
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of our panelists. Truly appreciate your voice in this discussion. Again, if we're going to be a disability-friendly community, we all have to have a say in what goes on, and we all need to know what each other are doing. I will tell you that this webinar has attracted over 70 people, so we're glad that word is getting out. This is one in a series of webinars that the Ability Center will be sponsoring. Next week, we will be talking to Kim Dunham, the general manager of TARTA, to talk about TARTA's plans going forward. So it'll be Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. Once again, this interview has been recorded and will be available tomorrow on our Facebook page and on our website. And I can't thank you enough for being part of this. Please fill out the evaluation tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you online next week. Thanks again, folks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.